I'm going to show you a few movies that I took when I was in New Mexico. And New Mexico, as you can see, all the green part, this is the state of New Mexico, and New Mexico is full of mountains. Now what you're looking at is the very location that the rocks came from that I have brought back for you. So you can see that these rocks came from way, way, way out of town, and in the far distance you can see Black Mesa. And you're looking at Indian lands. This is an area where the Indians lived and still live and have lived for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years.
Okay.
So way over there is Black Mesa, and then way down there that I showed you pictures of, or I will show you, is the Rio Grande. Looks like not much of a river. It isn't anymore, but it used to be. Once upon a time it carved out this whole gully, but it's a really small river now, though it runs from Colorado to Mexico. So this is Bandelier National Monument, and we'll be walking up there and then we'll show you more closely, but those holes up on the hill are where Pueblo Indians lived hundreds and hundreds of years ago, as long ago as 1100. And now we're in 2015. So that was a long time ago. And they lived here for many hundreds of years in villages. And these hills have a lot of volcanic rock in them, and they dug houses out of it. And these buildings are left over from that time. So here you can see me climbing up one of the ladders. There were hundreds of ladders all along the hills, and the Indians lived in these small areas built right into the cliff. And in a moment I think you'll see my head, because in this space there was just room for me to stand up. And getting in and out was all done by these ladders. In some places the ladders were 20, 30 feet high, but I just climbed up a small ladder. So probably two reasons the Pueblo Indians long ago came here was it was a safe place. You could be up here and be safe. No, I'm sure the other thing is, if you see the green, just that real dark green, which is unusual out here because it's so dry, there is a river or a creek, probably else we called a river, and that would have been the real reason they probably would have stopped here. Of the Indian village has fallen away, but every one of those little holes was once part of a house. So you can see it was quite a big place, and it went up many stories. 1, 2, 3, 4 stories, all built on top of each other. As I mentioned earlier, it was water that brought the Indians to Bandelier, to these hillsides, and built this village. And here's a close-up of the river. Now it doesn't look like much of a river if you compare it to our rivers, but for out west this was a river, and a very important river, because there was almost no water and it didn't rain very often. It still doesn't rain very often. As you can see, the water brings other creatures to live here also. Once you leave the cities, Santa Fe, Albuquerque. The west is very, very empty. Look at people who live in this house. Their nearest neighbor is a long, long way away. So imagine what it would be like to live in a place like this, how different it would be than how we live here right now. And of course, the kind of plants that grow there, I know you've studied plants, are very different. Because there's very little water, one of the plants that grows is a cactus, because cactus needs very little water. And here is a trip we took just a little bit down the road from where we were. This is a village, and people do live here. I don't know how many. We saw signs for the school bus. We didn't see very many people. We saw the dog. But again, very few people live out here, and I think children ride a very long way by school bus to go to school. So, this is just to give you a little feel for the West. I hope you enjoyed looking at it, and I really hope if you haven't had a chance to go west, that sometime you take a trip out to our West